Coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios, where the heartbeat of South Africa's news has pulsed for a whole 75 years. This is Prime News on 3, and here are your headlines. Across all 9 provinces today, SABC News celebrates 75 years of informing the nation. President Ramaphosa has reiterated that the commission of inquiry that is set to probe allegations of the corruption in the police service must be guided by procedural fairness. And the ANC-NEC will deliberate on the state of the government of national unity in the coming weeks. This is primetime coverage and your 8 o'clock news bulletin elevated. Good evening and welcome to Prime News on 3. My name is Beki Mutumomolete and I'm honored to host a special broadcast celebrating 75 years of broadcasting excellence. With a solid legacy of storytelling and many more worldly stories to unfold, tonight's bulletin promises to be an unforgettable experience. Stay with us for the evening of packed with news, nostalgia and iconic surprises. Let's make this a night to remember, starting off with this. Joining in on the festivities, we take a look at some of the messages that we have received from our thought leaders in our society, as well as authoritative voices in the corporation. Let's hear from them as they offer their congratulations and share their perspectives on the future.
Today we are proud to mark a historic milestone, the 75th anniversary of SABC News. For 3/4 of a century, SABC News has been at the heart of our democracy, informing, educating, and empowering generations of South Africans. Through times of change, through times of struggle, through times of triumph and transformation, SABC News has remained a trusted source of news, a mirror to society, not only to our nation, but for the world seeking to understand South Africa. As we confront the growing threats of disinformation and misinformation, the role of a credible, independent public news service has never been more important. SABC News continues to be a vital force in safeguarding truth, accountability, and informed citizenship. It's a vital platform for plurality and giving a voice for those who might otherwise go unheard. I hereby salute the journalistic excellence in our newsroom, the reporters, the editors, the producers, and all those behind the scenes who uphold the highest standards of integrity and public service journalism every single day. A happy 75th birthday to the SABC News.
I remember us going to Gauteng. If you recall, that was another crazy broadcast. No one could go in there. We needed police escorts for our trucks to do a broadcast there. During that sort of border dispute, whether Gauteng belonged to Gauteng or the Northwest, we did at some point ahead of the local government elections 4 live broadcasts in a week for 4 consecutive weeks. It had never been done before. It was a planning nightmare, but we had the benefit of the SABC News footprint around the country, which supported us and enabled us to do it. And this was one of the most incredible things, and still is, about the SABC's presence around the country, which enables the SABC to cover literally every corner of our country. And that is something that we must never take for granted, and we must always celebrate about the capacity of the SABC to reflect the real South Africa to all South Africans.
Needs to be gazetted, at that withdrawal, because the minister followed every procedure according to the rules of the National Assembly to withdraw that particular bill. So, and one of the key issues, in fact, relating to the editorial independence that you spoke about, one of the key issues with that particular bill is the fact that it's taking the SABC back to, a place where there was limited editorial independence. It's actually proposing that the editor-in-chief becomes the CEO and not the head of news as it is currently. So, so those are some of the key issues that we're fighting about, because we want to continue to have, an independent, public broadcaster that also has an independent board, which is also some of the things that, are really problematic about this particular bill.
Indeed, 75 years of bringing the nation together, 75 years of shaping the narrative, and 75 incredible years of standing the test of time. Tonight, Prime News on 3 also joins in on the celebration, tracking back to the genesis of the English news since inception in 1976. The SABC English News platform has continued to adapt and innovate, providing comprehensive coverage of local and international news.
From the early days of radio broadcasts to the current era of digital dominance, the SABC's English News has remained a trusted source of information and a platform for voices to be heard. As pioneers in television news, this bulletin was the first SABC TV news bulletin to be introduced in the year 1976, and it set the standard for TV news across the country.
The launch of the new SABC at Waterkloof Air Force Base in Pretoria has attracted a bevy of Hollywood stars.
From black backdrops to big background screens reflecting the world around you, through the years, we've witnessed history unfold and reported on milestones achieved.
Bit by bit, the country edged towards reform until a referendum on power sharing restricted to the white population gave President de Klerk the backing he badly needed.
A legacy built on the principles of quality journalism, integrity, and a passion for storytelling.
Today we became the organization's 51st member and joined the non-aligned movement as well.
And as the SABC marks 75 years of broadcasting excellence, we remain committed to bringing you the news that shapes our nation. Namvuyo Ntanjana, SABC News, Johannesburg.
It is time to raise the bar and take things to the next level. I am honored to present the extraordinary Mapaseka Mokwele, a true legend in South African broadcasting, who has helped lay the foundation for Prime News as you know it today. She's here in the flesh and will carry us through the rest of this momentous broadcast. Over to you, Mapaseka.
Thank you very much, Becky. Good evening, I'm Mapaseka Mokwele and welcome to the special broadcast of SABC's English News as we celebrate 75 years of broadcasting excellence. Joining me in the studio tonight is someone who's been part of this journey, a former colleague who's helped shape the news landscape in South Africa. Please welcome back to the SABC studios, Mahendra Raghunath. We're thrilled to have you with us, Mahendra. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
And this is the time we have to reminisce and go back, and the past years on SABC's English Bulletin.
Yes.
Take me back. How does it feel, though, being here today?
Oh, it's marvelous. I mean, just being in the studio again and soaking in the lights and the ambiance and the wonderful crew that's always been so supportive of us as anchors. It's tremendous.
It is amazing, hey? But, for Prime News viewers who haven't been here before, who haven't seen us before,
Yes.
Take us back to when you joined.
Well, I joined TV News in the year 2000, 25 years ago.
Sure.
And I had come in as a bulletin writer. I was brought in, hired as a bulletin writer to produce produce stories on the English desk. And they had bulletins at 1 o'clock, 15 minutes of 1 o'clock bulletin.
Yes.
There was a 5 minute at 4, a 5 minute at 6.
Yes.
Then there was a 8 o'clock bulletin, which was half an hour. And after that, there was a 10:30 bulletin. So my very first bulletin, which I read, was on the 3rd of August.
You remember the date?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Momentous day.
That's amazing. So 25 years in a few days, actually.
Exactly.
It will be 25 years in a few
Exactly.
days. Some of the most memorable moments for you?
Well, for me, I think the most memorable was auditioning for the role.
Okay.
Which happened in June or July, and I remember standing in a queue of about 400 people. And the queue began outside the building and snaked into the building, and eventually I got my audition at about 3 o'clock that afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that far, Mahendra. You've got a good memory. So your team, tell me about, how did your team and the people that you worked with, how did you shape and style the bulletin around that time?
Oh, well, there was a very powerful team at the English desk. There was executive producer Sally de Vasconcelos.
Yes.
And later Chris Bishop had arrived, as a senior executive producer. He helped to actually, he mentored me a lot, you know, in the early years. And one of the highlights, of course, was, in September 11, 2001,
Oh, yes, I remember that.
which was when the Twin Towers were attacked. And I was the anchor on the night.
Yeah.
So it was actually a baptism by fire. You know, it was like, okay, so now you've got 5 live interviews. You're crossing to New York, you're crossing here, and then you've got live people in here. It was a 30-minute bulletin, but it had, you know, it was so filled with adrenaline and so much of excitement and passion. And the team, you know, they were, you know, masters of the language, and, you know, they crafted the scripts beautifully, and, you know, and we obviously polished them up, and we had to execute them in the live broadcast.
And you did so beautifully. So what values did you prioritize around that time, especially around the values that the SABC would want to, you know, hold?
Yes. Well, the SABC has a public service mandate, and their mandate is to provide information to the public that's relevant to their daily lives. You know, so apart from the news gathering that they do and the news dissemination that they have been doing, you know, it's about informing people from a very independent perspective. So there was obviously an evolution, you know, in terms of ideological forces that were here and removed and, you know, replaced, etc. But primarily it was about informing people about what happened in the world today. And, you know, today we have a 24-hour bulletin, 24-hour news running, you know, around the clock. But in those days, I mean, 25 years ago, people would prioritize sitting down at 8 o'clock and watching the news for 30 minutes, and they make sure that the household was quiet.
This is true. This is true. But how do you think the news has changed?
Well, the news has become more intense. In fact, there's more information that is being gathered all the time, and especially with social media and all the platforms that break news long before traditional media had or can do. News has actually evolved to the extent where everybody is a content creator today. Wow. You know, people are sitting with their cell phones and they're producing news bulletins for their audiences.
This is true. Mahendra, lovely having a chat with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for shaping the future of news.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Thank you very much, Mahendra. Now it's time for us to pause and pay tribute to the legendary English TV news anchors we've lost. Voices and faces that shaped our screens and informed generations. Their legacy lives on in every headline we tell. We'll be back with more news shaping the day and the world around you after this. Welcome back. President Cyril Ramaphosa has reiterated that the Commission of Inquiry that is set to probe allegations of corruption in the police must be guided by procedural fairness. This after he was heavily criticized by some opposition parties for failing to suspend Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, who has been placed on special leave.
Spirited, robust, provocative, and sometimes insulting. That's how the president described the debate on the presidency budget vote. However, he said his response would be presidential. The Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the police dominated the debate.
I said yesterday, and I will repeat again, as a country that is committed to the rule of law, the procedural fairness to transparency, we will ensure that the allegations made around corruption in the upper echelons of South Africa Police Service will be fully ventilated in the Commission of Inquiry process.
The president reminded political parties that the presidency will coordinate government programs to ensure inclusive growth, job creation and building a capable state.
We have to reduce the cost of living of our people. We also have to build state capacity and make sure that our state is able to deliver on the promise that we gave our people.
The says many of these contentious issues will be thrashed out at the national dialogue. Ulelani Philip, SABC News, Parliament.
The ANC-NEC will deliberate on the state of the government of national unity in the coming weeks. Relations between the ANC and the Democratic Alliance have soured over the budget impasse and also the firing of a DA deputy minister. The DA has refused to pass the budgets of departments run by allegedly corrupt ANC ministers like Thembi Smelane and Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane.
Has postponed the National Executive Committee meeting to thoroughly have the NWC review the state of the government of national unity, alliance relations with the SACP, and the state of the economy. Some ANC-NEC members are pushing for the highest decision-making body to take a decision for the removal of the Democratic Alliance. The push comes after some NEC members view the DA as being disruptive and acting as an opposition in government, voting against the budget, going against the national dialogue and contradicting the president on the country's foreign policy.
The National Executive Committee of the ANC, the National Working Committee yesterday resolved that it should be postponed to a later stage to do thorough political work on a whole range of issues, the state of the government of national unity, to do political work on our situation within the alliance of mending relations and dealing with matters of reconfiguration that affect our relations with one of our alliance partners, which have taken a decision to go to the next election.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has in the recent past called on the party's caucus not to disrupt the DA as it's making a grave mistake. In a recent interview, the president says the DA must decide on its own whether it wants to leave the GNU or not.
Any party that does not act in accordance with what we set up in the statement of intent and what the people of South Africa expected will need to decide on its own whether it wants to continue participating.
Samkela Masego, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Thank you for staying with us. It feels like we're on a winning streak lately, with the southern skies providing a warm embrace. Let's hope the trend continues. Our weather team is on standby with your details. Your forecast is up next.
Very good evening to you from Johannesburg, and it's time to take a look at all your weather details. A cold front just leaving with it some drop in temperatures as well as isolated showers for the Western Cape this evening. Be on the lookout as well for partly cloudy conditions through the central parts of South Africa, southwards in towards the Eastern Cape, while it'll be clear in towards the northeast of the country overnight, and some isolated showers for the Southern Free State in towards the Eastern Cape. Ahead towards tomorrow and Friday, see some scattered rainfall along the east coast of the country, isolated showers through the interior of KwaZulu-Natal in towards parts of Mpumalanga, whilst Johannesburg and Mahikeng expecting partly cloudy skies on Friday. Clear but cold through most of the Northern Cape tomorrow, with some isolated showers dotted along the south coast of the country and fog patches in parts of the Western Cape and Eastern Cape in the morning. Be on the lookout, please, for the potential of damaging winds through the Northern Cape in towards the Southern Free State this evening, as well as the potential of damaging waves from the Cape Peninsula eastwards towards Gqeberha and ahead towards tomorrow. More likelihood for the potential of damaging waves. That's along the west coast and south coast of the country. Gqeberha dropping to 8 degrees this evening. Cape Town the same. Cold through Sutherland at just -1. De Aar down to 2. The interior of the Eastern Cape also very cold with Graafrenet at 2 degrees. Kamani at 1 degree. Durban in the mid-teens overnight. Johannesburg 7. Warming up tomorrow to a maximum of 22 with Polokwane up to 23. Messina up to 26 in the north of our country. Durban up to 20 tomorrow. East London 19. Gqeberha 18. Whilst Cape Town warms up to 16. And if you're in the interior of the Eastern Cape, you can expect a cold day in the mid-teens. That's it from me. Have a great evening.
Well, that's all from me for tonight. I'm pleased to hand over to our talented Becky Mudumo Molete. Becky, the baton is now yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mapaseka. What a magical evening and a magical experience watching her in action tonight. It is clear that we're truly in the presence of greatness. We've been in the capable hands of the legendary Mapaseka Mukwele. She joined the SABC in the late 90s and quickly established herself as a talented and dedicated journalist. Her passion for storytelling, coupled with her exceptional reporting skills, earned her reputation as a trusted and respected voice in South Africa. I'm sure that after all this time of having been in the building, it actually brought back a flood of emotions. How does it feel being back here today?
The memories, the emotions, it's just been amazing. Hey, walking through the corridors, just seeing the studios, they've changed so much.
Yeah, definitely
so
a lot has changed. Yeah. And what do you think you miss most?
Sure. About doing news?
Yeah.
It's got to be the rush. There's something about live news, you know, and knowing that there's somebody watching who needs to hear what you're saying. And it's live.
Yes.
Nothing beats that. It's live news.
Yes, absolutely. And can you share with us a moment from your career that stands out the most?
Sure, there's quite a few that I can think of, but top of mind, I remember with the crossover, the Y2K crossover, I think 99 to 2000, and I was doing, and I had to cover the news, but I was in Robben Island. I was in Robben Island then. There's a whole lot of other stories. I mean, when Mahindra was talking now, and he was talking about the September 11th. That, a flood of memories just came. There's so many beautiful stories and beautiful memories, and also some scary ones, I must say. I mean, there were interviews that were a bit scary.
And how did you handle that?
You know, you move.
Yeah.
You move, and you're live on air. You don't really have much of a choice but to move.
And like they say, you probably also have to have nerves of steel.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Oh, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of stories there. I mean, when you say nerves of steel, I'm reminded of a bulletin that I did, and I was stuck in a lift and I had to rush in, and I came in just before the bulletin went on, and we had to rush on. And
that's a new fear unlocked. And then to also keep your composure in that moment.
Got there, calmed down, and did the news. It was absolutely amazing.
Now let's chat about the evolution of news and how things have changed over the years. How do you think that broadcasting has evolved since you were last on? I mean, now we have, you know, the use of AI and social media as well, which makes news so accessible, so quickly accessible at the click of a button.
Remember when we were doing news, you had to verify your sources thoroughly before. Twitter was not a source, or X.
Yes.
Social media was not a source. So things are different now, you know. And a lot of people, well, probably before the news comes on at 8 o'clock, they would have gone to their phones to check social media. However, I still think what still stays the same is that the credible voice of news still stays the credible voice of news, and that's important. So as much as there's a lot of changes, there's still a lot that stayed there and important.
Any last words to your fans who I know are watching attentively tonight, and I know that they've been looking forward to this moment? Anything you'd like to say to them?
Thank you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for allowing us to be here and be the face and talk to you and tell you more about what's happening around South Africa. Just a big, big thank you from me.
Thank you so much for this moment. It truly has been an honor to have you on Prime News. We thought of getting you a little something as a token of our appreciation from myself and the team.
Thank you
so much for paving the way for us to continue, keeping things up.
And you're doing an amazing job. Thank you very much.
Such an honor.
You're doing amazing.
Thank you very much. Now, as the curtains close on tonight's broadcast, we're reminded of the power of storytelling and the loyalty of our incredible audience since inception. We have journeyed through time together and we're grateful for every moment. I'll be back with you tomorrow evening, ready to take you on another adventure. Until then, from myself and the team, stay inspired, stay ahead, and let the legacy continue. Good night.